shout out to Deep Silver for providing me with a review copy of Echoes of the End. I definitely want to go into somewhat details about the game without giving you any spoilers, so nothing past the first half of the game will be shown here. But before we get started, I want to show you guys a little bit about my grading scale and like what I'm actually doing so that everybody understands and we're all on the same page about the review of this game. Check it out. All games are reviewed in a vacuum. The score is not meant to compete against other games in the same genre or other releases in the same time span. Scores are meant to be read like classroom percentages. On a 10-point grading scale, the results will look as follows. 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and below 60 is an F. All games are graded using my own personal opinions and occasionally input from friends if I'm on the fence. The scores will be the end result of a 10-part dissection of the game. 10 parts that I personally care about, which are 1. The main character or the cast, 2. The story plot, 3. The atmosphere and vibes, 4. The fun factor, 5. Graphics and production, 6. The gameplay loop and pacing, 7. The difficulty, 8. The writing, 9. Optimization and bugs, and number 10. Value for money. Also, up to 3 bonus points or penalty points will be awarded at the end if I so choose. Let's get started. All right, let's get started with the main character and the cast. So the main character is Ren. Initially, she's kind of depicted as cold and callous, but you quickly realize she's actually caring and careful since she can't fully control the power she wields. So her responses to other characters reaching out to help her both figuratively and literally slowly change over time as she grows in the story. She is the likable big sister at times and the daughter figure other times. Her brother, Core, a very good supporting cast member. He has a few lines here and there, but he's a great factor for moving the story forward. Abram is a great supporting character. He has great lines, and a lot of times he adds depth to situations, and he's helpful when you get stuck during puzzles. Zara is one of the big bads of the story, probably the biggest, baddest of the story. She's the #1 villain, I would say. She is literally pure evil, and without giving too much away and spoiling anything for you, yeah, just keep that in mind. Shawty crazy. And I do love her for that. So the cast is actually phenomenal. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. On to the story. So the story starts kind of in the middle almost. There's no real warm up. You just plop right in and go. But essentially there's an Iceland inspired country and you are a powerful being known as a vestige. Vestiges are humans that have abilities, and with all the power they wield, they can either protect or destroy. A second vestige appears, aka Zara, and you instantly have beef. Her and her gang force your brother to show them around. They search for the typical bad guy things, sources of ultimate power, ways to rule, etc., etc. They actually develop the story really well, and there is a plot twist in there that I will not spoil yet again. I give the story plot a 9 out of 10. Number 3, atmosphere and vibe. Atmosphere and vibe is a culmination of all the world building, environments, music, background, quips, and everything in between. They did an amazing job with the world and the way the puzzles flow in with the exploration. The music is amazing, the world is really well done. At times, certain areas can invoke deja vu, but most of the time it's gorgeous scenery that changes enough to be considered great. The voice actors do a great job evoking emotion as well. And shout out to whoever mocapped everything, because like the facial animations and all that, they actually match. So it's pretty good. I'm kind of impressed. So I'm actually gonna give that a 10 out of 10. The combat is fun as hell. The different abilities you unlock can change the way you play in a major way. My personal favorite is the lifesteal ability. You get that in the beginning, but right when you're about to die, it comes in handy to keep you in the fight. Also, the variety of enemies is very good. So this helps you not feel like everything is super repetitive. My personal favorite enemy, by the way, is Scuggy. Meet Scuggy. Oh, shit. What the fuck is that? Now, a couple of things that I would change. I wish they added more ground attacks. There were plenty of times when I knocked an enemy to the ground, but when I went to swing on them, they pop right back up like they had been standing there the whole time. Also, sometimes I kind of wish like Abram would do a little bit more to help out with the fights, like more team combo-esque type things. I know later on you can kind of do more of that stuff, but I just wanted a larger variety of like team building combos and all that. But overall, I had a blast playing this game. I actually think it's one of the more fun games that I played recently, because it just throws a lot at you, and it seems like from what I can remember, I was having a great time trying to figure everything out, and you can kind of play your way. I watched my homeboy Double O for show play this game, and he picked different abilities than me, but he kind of approached fights a lot differently than I did, but it was still effective. It was just as effective. You have multiple ways that you can play the game, so I do appreciate that. I actually give the fun factor a 9 out of 10. Now let's look at the graphics and the production. The game has modern graphics which look akin to something like Hellblade or like Vanisher's Ghost of New Eden. It's gorgeous. I enjoy the game's art style, and the cutscenes fit in well and provide mostly seamless transitions throughout. You'll be looking at like the vast landscape and checking off in the distance and seeing all the greatness that's going on there, and then a cutscene will trigger, and it seems like it's all just one big movie. It just keeps going, and then you'll get thrown right back into a fight, and you kind of got to pick up the controls, but it picks up where it left off. It's a great transition. Yeah.
Kill him.
Where is he?
Protecting Haven. Right. They mustn't find.
Also, as I previously stated, the production quality and the facial animations and the fight scenes are really well done. If she's looking sad or whatever, it shows on her face really well. It doesn't look creepy like how some games when they're trying to cry and they actually end up like cheesing and it looks kind of awkward. Nah, it didn't do that in this game to me. They actually really got that done really well. I will take off one point because there were a few times where I'm in the boat, like riding around in the water, and you'll see like this really nice like ripple effect in the water, and the water looks all high quality. And then there's other times when there's like polygon effects still in the water and it's kind of blocked off, and it just looks really weird. Like they could have took the extra time to cook that to make sure it didn't look like that. I don't know. It's just like, it's not even an invisible wall. It's a very visible like black square that doesn't move in the middle of the water that you have to try to avoid. That kind of broke immersion for me, so I'm gonna take off 1 point for that. So that gives it a 9 out of 10. Next up, gameplay loop and pacing. So the gameplay loop goes like this: do some platforming to move forward in the story. As you move forward, you encounter various enemies and trigger cutscenes that provide you with more lore and context of the world around you. I have to say, the pacing was done very well. As soon as I would get annoyed by the amount of puzzles, a cutscene would trigger to offer at least a brief intermission and then give me a break. It was very well paced, but I did feel like there were a few too many puzzles. So because of that, it got an 8 out of 10. Difficulty. The game was not easy, but also not incredibly hard. Enemies and groups were potentially difficult. Sometimes I would point at an enemy and Abram would attack someone else, which was kind of frustrating. Like, he has this electricity ability, this zap, and an enemy would be running at me, and if I could look at him on my screen, I'm pointing directly at him, but when I pressed the button for him to zap, he would zap somebody totally different, and then the enemy would one-shot me and kill me or pull off some sort of power move or whatever that easily could have been avoided, because the AI doesn't just pick the nearest threat, it picks whoever it thinks you're looking at. So a lot of times I would get in a situation where I'm trapped and I'm getting jumped now and I don't have any help. So I just let them kill me and then start over. So I wouldn't say that that's difficult, more like a lot of collision issues. There were some challenging fights and there were some easy fights. Where the game excels though is boss fights. Every boss fight was awesome. Giant nuns, evil gladiators, and did I mention my guy Scuggy? No. Sheesh. The final boss fight is the culmination of everything you learned and every move you unlocked being put to the test. I'm not gonna spoil it, but that whole boss encounter was phenomenal. For that reason, It gets a 9 out of 10. Number 8, writing. We did have a high view breakdown of the plot, but what about the normal writing throughout the game? The dialogue between Ren and Abram, or Ren and Core, was very well done. Ren and Abram had very good chemistry, and Core's actor did a great job of playing the little brother to Ren. Abram spoke with great emotion and often added a lot to the depth of situations, especially when stuck on a puzzle. I can't say that enough. Him giving insight during puzzles actually saved me once or twice. It's not the most dynamic writing, but I have no issues with it, and nothing that comes to mind in particular stood out in a bad way. So because of that, I'm just gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Anyway, where were we?
Number 9, optimization and bugs. The game ran very smooth for me. There were a few times I would knock an enemy off and they would hover in the air like Wile E. Coyote chasing Roadrunner. They could still get hits off and they were floating above water or lava or whatever. I didn't encounter any other major game breaking bugs, just that. So in general, I'll just say it was a 9 out of 10. Number 10, value for money. So $40 for around 15 hours of gameplay, that's kind of a tough one. $1 an hour is a good starting point, but when you factor in production value, storytelling, and combat, $2 an hour is often acceptable as well. If you check out a lot of your favorite games, that's kind of how they do it as well. About $2 per hour of gameplay if it's a single player game. So personally, I would have put this game at around $30. With that being said, it's $40, so that's a little too high for me. So I'm just gonna say that's around a 6 out of 10. And I'm not gonna get into the math that I did to do that. We're just gonna say it's a 6 out of 10. Lastly, bonus points. So you get up to 3 bonus points or up to 3 penalty points. Free for me to use at my discretion if I even feel like they need them. So 1, I'm gonna give a +1 because they did update the feel of the combat and gameplay while I was playing it. Like I played the first 3 chapters, took a break, came back, they had an update or a patch or whatever. And it didn't go unnoticed because immediately I was talking about how the combat felt a little more fluid and how it was easier dodging and turning around and swinging and countering and stuff. So I think that was kind of amazing that they immediately heard the feedback and fixed whatever the issue was. I am gonna dock a point though, because while the ending was absolutely phenomenal, the intro, which to me is supposed to be the most important part, anytime you write a story or you do anything with production, right? The intro is supposed to be this massive, grandiose thing that draws people in. It's the attention grabber. That's what we're taught in school. That's what they teach you in high school, college, everywhere. The intro is very important. And they did not do that at all. There was basically no intro. They just dropped you in the middle of the story. So while the game was great, that is a very big missed opportunity. So it's going to lose a point for that. And lastly, this is the devs' first game. And when you put that into the equation, they did an amazing job. So to me, it being their first game and them having such a successful first run, I'm going to actually give them a point for that. So that brings the total to 87 out of 100. This game is a B, and I do recommend you play it. Maybe while it's on sale, but even right now, it's still a good game, so check it out. That was Echoes of the End. Thank you to Deep Silver for providing me a review copy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch at YourHostCJ. Once again, follow me on Twitch at YourHostCJ. Peace.